Describe your leadership style and why you think that style fits the particular needs of this district.
My leadership style would be servant leadership. I practice what I call collective decision-making, involve input from other people, collaboration, practical common sense, being a good steward, a good manager of the resources we have, or the resources that we need, having a sense of community. This is what I've done in various commissions and what I've done at FIBC, First Institutional Baptist Church. It's servant leadership that serves those that we're called to serve. That's what I was.
I believe in bringing a diverse team of people together to make sure we understand all of the different perspectives, and I've tried to build a campaign that way, so I have students who are DreamAct students who are volunteering on the campaign who are from other countries, as well as people of all ages and throughout the community, to really understand what we need, because this district is enormously diverse and has a lot of different challenges from area to area. And I hope to work hard to make sure we represent everyone in the community. I also really believe in learning the issues, in understanding why, if everyone has wanted more medical services, we don't have it there, and how we can develop the partnerships we need to get it done. These are very difficult issues facing our community, very complex ones, and we need someone who will do the day-to-day hard work and spend the time on the issues to make sure this gets done. It's not about glamorous speeches, it's really about the nuts and bolts of how are we going to pay for this and how are we going to make it happen for our community.
I grew up in a house of very strong women, and as you can imagine, if you've dealt with that, you often learn that you've got to work in a team, and you've got to be part of a system that you're not always going to be the first person in line, but you are part of that team and you're still required to lead. What that taught me to do is to lean in. The leadership style that I bring is the same leadership style I've used on the Roosevelt School District Governing Board. I took on our PIO and won. I finally put an anti-bullying comprehensive measure to the public and really said we're going to address issues about safety for our kids. And that is the same leadership style that I will take as a city council member. I have thick skin, if you haven't noticed, in the last few weeks. And that thick skin is great, because what it says to me in my leadership style is I'm going to make the tough calls, I'm going to speak to you straight, and I'm going to tell you about the fact that we're going to all move forward together, and we're going to make the best decisions that matter and help everyone. And that's my leadership style.
Well, my leadership style comes from 45 years in the Army. Being a leader in the Army, you got to take care of your troops. In this case, we got to take care of the district. You got to make sure that everybody is looked after. That's the real key. I mean, we can talk about policies and all this kind of stuff, but you got to look at people, and you got to take care of people. You know, I had a battalion commander once that told me, God never let me forget when a leader is there to serve, not to be served. And that's what we need out of our leadership at the city council. We need them to look at the people and think of them first and foremost. And we need a leadership that's going to look at how the city can stop spending money instead of how to spend it. You know, we're spending like crazy. You know, we had a 2% tax on food designed for police officers and fire. And where's that money now? We don't have any new police officers or fire. Where's that money? Where's the accountability? That's what I want to bring, and that's what my leadership will bring, to get down to the nuts and bolts of what's going on in the city, find out where the money's at, and spend it on what it's supposed to be spent on, the people of the district and the people of the city.
Take Gallego, please. Large portions of our communities lack education about how to engage in political process. How will you work to increase their awareness of city issues and involvement in city decisions?
I am one of the two leaders of the My Plan Phoenix effort, which is our 10-year planning effort. And as part of that process, we really try to go out into the community. I love all of you people who are willing to come here and spend an hour listening to us, but the truth is that most people aren't going to come to these forums, and so we need to go to them. So I've helped organize events for My Plan Phoenix at barbershops in South Phoenix, at Spooktacular Ice Cream Shop in Levine, at community centers, at senior centers. We've also gone out and hired an AmeriCorps organizer who specializes in working with low-income communities and communities where not everyone speaks English, so that people have an opportunity to participate in deciding the future of their community, regardless of where you are and what language you speak. We really have to go out and be involved and make sure we solicit opinions from people throughout the community, because we will be a much stronger community if we reflect the full diversity and the opinions of everyone.
You know, these neighborhoods that we live in and in this district have for so long had real potential and resources. I said at the beginning, our strongest resource in the city is its people. It's not that we've lacked policy prescriptions and proposals, it's that we've lacked true empowerment in our neighborhoods. And we've had leadership that has been more concerned with having a seat at the table than what you do with that seat at the table. This is that opportunity, that once in a 12-year opportunity to bring people into the fold who can actually have a voice. But the thing is that so many people have been talked down to instead of asked to be empowered and join a group and join a team and join a discussion, that they've turned off to politics. You know, politician isn't a bad word when you really think about it as engaging the polis, engaging the people. That's what our campaign has done. That's the ethos of our campaign, and that's why we're going to win. But the fact is for kids to have those opportunities, you have to vote for the one candidate who's going to save their after-school programs, the one candidate who's going to make sure that we fund education properly, and our community pools, and our other centers of civic and social engagement, where 7-year-olds learn how to talk to each other, so that they become 18-year-olds, they become even better leaders. So if you vote for the candidate who's going to protect those services, you're voting to provide the opportunities and the actual centers for civic engagement and leadership.
Well, I think one of the big issues is accessibility to government. I mean, I don't think that we necessarily listen as well as we should within the government. And I think that what we need to do is give people an opportunity to access government and actually listen to them. I always go back to people. People are the key to everything. If you don't engage people on their level, where they're at, looking for their view, then it really doesn't matter, you know, what your policies are. Because your policies are going to probably be dead wrong. Government has a nasty habit of doing something and it has the exact opposite consequence. You know, that's the problem. And what we need to do as government officials is talk to people and find out what really are their concerns. So accessibility to government is how to solve it. If I'm elected, I will give people the opportunity to access government, to actually listen to people, listen to their ideas, listen to their concerns, and then address those concerns.
One of the key aspects of my campaign is developing a new generation of leadership. Mentoring, coming alongside young people. There are persons, and I won't call their names, who are serving now on school boards, who are serving in various leadership roles, and even Lawrence has said to me that I've been a mentor and a role model to him in the past. On the front row is our executive minister. He just came on board. He runs the Data Operations Church. He's 29 years of age. So I see the need to bring alongside young people, younger generations, to show them the ropes, to learn from them new ways of doing what needs to be done. And I see us establishing leadership institutes all over District 8, where people like many of you in here will come alongside and mentor and bring people and make it attractive that young people will be a part of making key decisions for the future of the city of Phoenix.
Mr. Roberts, you mentioned the Shade Downtown earlier. What can we do in a larger sense about Phoenix's massive heat island?
Well, number one is promote transportation options by connectivity, by connecting those sidewalks to the bike lanes, to the bus lanes, to the bus stops, and to the light rail that will reduce that usage of engines, cars on the road, and stop people from waiting in traffic and polluting our streets. But the other thing that we can do is we can promote smart growth. I mean, I think about the fact that we need to have a denser city, and we need to have zoning practices that make cities walkable. But I also think of Darren Chapman's Tiger Mountain Gardens in our neighborhoods. Those Tiger Mountain Gardens are feeding a ton of folks. If you haven't seen Darren's Gardens, go down and look at them. they're not only feeding folks, but they're teaching folks how to take those gardens back into their backyards and how to eat nutritious food to fight obesity, and actually how to be disciplined and responsible for their communities. So it's these small things. I also think of the streetscape on Baseline. We just replanted with Dr. Brooks the streetscape down there, and it's not only a piece of public art, but it's actually planting and beautifying our neighborhoods in a green way. So there are a lot of small things we can do, and when you start small, you add up to a very large change in communities.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think, I mean, obviously, as Lawrence was saying, I mean, you gotta look at making, pardon the expression, making the city greener. I think there's a lot of areas where in parks particularly, they have massive open spaces, particularly shade for people. They just opened up Manzanita Park where I live, and it's a really huge park. It's really nice, but there's like 2 places where you can sit in the shade. So I mean, how about some trees? How about a couple of covered areas that people can sit and have, enjoy the outdoors. As you look along the roadways, I mean, a lot of these bus stops, as you were saying, I mean, there's a place to put a tree. We put a tree to kind of help people and shade people, and that's, we got to kind of look at how that happens. Inside the city, we got to look at, infill, and look at zoning laws and see how we can, develop those areas and then really kind of try to reduce that heat signature.
I used to complain about the heat to God, and he told me to stop bothering him. He said, Warren, you live in the middle of the desert Southwest. You live in the desert. 4 months is going to be hot as hell. You live in the desert.
So I was taking light rail to work and talking to someone who was on their way to a job interview. And it was hot in the desert. We were sitting under one of the canopies that the city of Phoenix has installed that only shades you at high noon because it's so small. And it just strikes me that sometimes people who design these canopies either have never been to Phoenix or they've never taken the bus. Because most of us are going to work in the morning or in the afternoon, and when the sun's at the angle, they don't shade you. So we do need some common sense in our infrastructure. This, like many of the other issues we've talked about today, is an issue where I've been involved before I was running for city council and trying to find a solution. So I've worked on different plans, including a plan to bring more trees to Phoenix. If you sit at City Hall and look to the north, you see a lot of green, and if you look south, you don't see as much green. And that's not reasonable. The city should make the same investments everywhere. When we cut the parks budget for the folks who maintain the trees, they decided they would do it based on complaints. And there are a lot of people in this community who are working several jobs and they have better things to do than call up the city of Phoenix and complain about trees. So let's do policies that make sense for all of our communities so that District 8 gets its fair share.